perfectly still as the 7-foot shadow of Archon Valarax loomed over him. Her plasma staff hummed inches from his throat, the ionizing heat singeing the collar of his dress uniform while the silent crowd waited for him to blink. One twitch and the lethal edge would carve through bone. Have you ever wondered why the smallest things often have the sharpest edges? Join us as we witness the moment the galaxy learned that fragile is just another word for dangerous. Now, let's look back at how a single glass of water started a war. The ice in Kalen's drink had been solid 10 minutes ago, a small comfort in the stifling, gold-leafed air of the Ethelgard Nexus. Now it was just a lukewarm puddle at the bottom of a crystal tumbler. The gala was a sea of scales, chitin, and bioluminescent crests. Humanity was the new guest, invited more out of curiosity than respect, and Kalen felt every bit the specimen under a microscope. His military dress blues felt stiff, the metals on his chest sounding like tinny wind chimes whenever he moved. Beside him, Director Thorne whispered for him to keep his chin up, but it was hard when the Verulian delegation entered the hall like a physical blow. Archon Valarax was a tower of obsidian muscle and heavy, ornate plating. She didn't walk so much as she conquered the floor. As she passed the human table, she snatched a crystal beverage glass from a passing tray. With a casual, terrifying flex of her hand, the glass exploded. Shards peppered the floor, glittering like fallen stars against the dark marble. Soft, Valarax rumbled, her voice a tectonic shift that vibrated in Kalen's marrow. Your bones are like this vessel. You claim a seat among giants, but you are made of sand and hope. The mockery was calculated. It was a predator testing the fence. When she singled Kalen out, pointing a clawed finger at his chest, the room went cold. She challenged him then, a ritual duel, televised to every corner of the hegemony, to prove Earth wasn't just a collection of breakable things. Minister Tai tried to interject, citing diplomatic immunity and the absurdity of a physical trial for a political seat. But Kalen was already looking at the shards of glass on the floor. He wasn't seeing the destruction. He was seeing the friction. He had spent the last 6 months buried in Verulian combat archives. They were ambush predators. They relied on the symphony of the strike, a burst of overwhelming, explosive power designed to end a fight in seconds. I accept, Kalen said. His voice was thin compared to hers, but it didn't shake. In the days leading up to the match, the science of the human body became Kalen's only religion. While the Verulians trained for impact, Kalen trained for the gap. Humans are persistence hunters, a biological anomaly in a galaxy of sprinters. Our muscles are built with a higher density of slow-twitch fibers, and our ability to shed heat through skin allows us to endure long after an apex predator's heart begins to cook in its own chest. He knew he couldn't out-hit a god. He just had to outlast the marathon. The grand arena smelled of ozone and anticipation. Kalen carried a standard training staff, a simple length of reinforced polymer that looked like a toothpick compared to Valarax's heavy plasma-edged polearm. The buzzer sounded, and the Archon moved with a speed that defied her mass. The air in the arena was thick with the scent of ozone. Valarax moved with a speed that defied her mass, her plasma staff a blur of white-hot light. Kalen didn't meet the blow. He spun, the heels of his boots skidding on the sand as he let the massive weapon pass inches from his ribs. The galaxy saw a titan and a stick figure. Kalen saw a sprinter trying to run a marathon. For 12 minutes, he did nothing but breathe. He parried only when necessary, using the Archon's own momentum to slide her strikes wide. He was a ghost in dress blues. The crowd began to jeer, calling him a coward, a leaf in the wind, a creature of no substance. But Kalen was watching the Archon's bioluminescent crest. It had started as a vibrant, steady blue. Now it was pulsing a jagged, angry violet. Her breath was coming in ragged, metallic rasps. The heavy obsidian plating that made her invulnerable was now a furnace, trapping her body heat. Her movements grew heavy. The symphony of the strike was falling out of tune. 12 minutes. The exact time it takes for a Verulian god to realize she's made of clay. Kalen saw the opening when Valarax overextended on a downward smash. It was a move born of pure frustration. As the plasma staff buried itself in the arena floor, Kalen didn't retreat. He stepped inside her guard. Does true strength lie in the force of the blow, or the ability to stand after the storm has passed? Before you see the end of this duel, consider joining our community of chroniclers. We're here every day to tell the stories the stars tried to hide. The snapback moment returned with a sudden, jarring clarity. Kalen stood perfectly still as the 7-foot shadow of Archon Valarax loomed over him. The plasma staff hummed at his throat. But this time, the context was different. The staff wasn't there because she had one. It was there because she was using it as a crutch to keep from collapsing. Her knees were trembling. Kalen reached out. With a flick of his wrist, he didn't strike her. He simply hooked his polymer staff behind her leading ankle and pulled. Valarax, exhausted and off balance, went down with a crash that shook the observation tiers. Kalen was on her in a heartbeat. His training staff pressed firmly against the soft seal of her neck armor. The silence was absolute. "We don't feel the need to prove ourselves through words," Kalen whispered, loud enough for the hovering drone mics to catch. "We prefer the silence of survival." He didn't deliver a finishing blow. Instead, he retracted his staff and stood up. He reached down, offering a hand to the fallen Archon. It was a gesture of such profound, unexpected respect that Valarax frozen for a long second before her clawed hand closed around his. He pulled her to her feet. "They call us fragile because our bones break, but they forget we're the only species that learn to fight while they heal." Later, in the quiet of the locker room, Kalen sat alone. His hands were shaking from the adrenaline come-down. On the bench beside him sat a small tray with a fresh glass of water. He picked it up, looking at the clear, unblemished crystal. He thought of the shards on the gala floor. He realized then that the fragile pieces are what cut the deepest when they are stepped on. He took a slow, steady drink, the water cool against his throat. The glass clinked softly as he set it down on the metal bench, whole and unbroken. What would you have done in Kalen's shoes? Would you have taken the win or offered the hand? Let us know your thoughts below, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next chronicle.